What's it like when you got such a short window here to get ready, and you're now getting ready at a couple of different spots while everything gets sorted out up front? How's that going on?
It's going well. You know, as I'm sure you know, as I'm sure everyone else knows, that our world today is unpredictable. And with that being said, approaching every NFL football season, for me personally speaking, I've never approached a season thinking I was going to be playing the same position, because as an offensive lineman in the National Football League, it's rare that you carry out an entire season with the same starting lineup at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the season. So, with that being said, playing different positions is something that I'm used to. Obviously, the beginning of training camp, it takes a little bit to kind of get used to. Personally, for me, it's a little bit harder to go from tackle to guard than it is from guard to tackle, just from the timing standpoint with your hands and pass pro. But, other than that, it is what it is. You can't really sit and dwell on not having as much time to prepare, because all 32 NFL teams are in the same situation.
Bill Huber?
Yeah. With that being said, I mean, you did lay a really solid foundation last year, and between games and practice, who knows how many thousands of snaps you took a guard. Does part of you would part of you at least like to build on that to take your game to the next level?
You know what? I would love to say yes, but I've never played the same position 2 years in a row. So, I can play any position on the offensive line, and as much as I would love to say yes, it doesn't really faze me, and it doesn't really matter to me which of those positions I'm playing, as long as it is the best five out there and the best group out there to giving us the best opportunity to go ahead and win games.
Wes Hodgwitz?
Hey, Billy, do you got me all right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. I know I talked to you in the spring about the work you did with COVID, and then certainly the social justice initiative that also you guys did together. I just wanted to ask you, because our first year actually covering you, do you feel like you've kind of found your voice in that way as an advocate, or was that something that has always sort of been Billy Turner, and just everything that's happened has brought that out?
I definitely say that I've always stood for what I believe in. And everything that's happened in the last 6 months in this country is tragic. It is. It's been going on for a lot longer than 6 months. It's more like 600 years, So as far as my approach to the situation, I take it as it comes. And as I grow older, as I experience more, as I communicate and have more conversations with different people, whether they're like-minded or not, you tend to understand a little bit more and more and more. But then another situation like Breonna Taylor, George Floyd will happen, and you just kind of are left to sit there scratching your head, And as far as my voice goes, I understand that being in the NFL, having a platform means something, not only for me, because as far as I'm concerned, it means much more for the people around the world and the people that follow me and tune in and tap in to listen to what I have to say. It's not about me and having the platform and me being the professional athlete. It's about what I'm able to do with this platform. So, it's been something that I have grown into as a man, and every year that I get older, I understand a few more things, and I approach things a little bit differently, and obviously, the end goal is to honestly eliminate all of these foul and tragic things that happen on a regular basis in this country, but with that being said, it's been 600 years and it seems like we've made no strides forward. But at the same time, I'm never going to give up hope, and I'm going to continue to use my platform and my voice to make a difference if I can.
Matt Schneidman?
Yeah, Billy, one non-football question, one football question. When we chatted a couple months ago, you made a point to say, what's really important about the social justice movement is not stopping the conversation after the first couple of weeks. How has that been to try and keep it going into the season? And then I guess on a different note, how has it been getting Lane Taylor back after everything he went through last season?
You were going to have to go ahead and repeat that first question.
Okay, so when we chatted a couple months ago, you mentioned how it's important to carry all these efforts to improve social
Right.
justice and everything beyond just the first couple weeks when it's convenient to
Mhm.
put out those messages and stories. How has that been, and do you feel that that has been accomplished even now as football comes back?
That's definitely the goal, and it's definitely something that's hard. You know, as a black man, it's not a couple week, a couple day, a couple month type of thing. This is a lifetime thing for me. So this is something that's always present and very vivid in my mind and in my everyday life, regardless of if I'm up at this facility, out in public, anywhere in this country, anywhere in this world, is something that's very relevant for me at all times, 24/7, 365. You know, as far as other people that are not like me, that are not African American, or that are not minorities, you know, for us to continue this fight and for us to, you know, make progress, it's more along the lines of other people being able to continue this fight and to continue to spread the word and the message that we want justice for Breonna Taylor and her family. We want the police shootings, the police brutality, and the brutality against all minorities to stop. You know, that's not just up to minorities and African American men, despite me living in this demographic of being killed at 2 to 3 times higher than that of anyone else in this world. You know, it's up to everyone else. And, you know, kind of moving forward, you know, in the locker room every day, I think you hear somebody speaking about something that's racial injustice, you know, kind of that category, that genre of conversation in just different parts of the locker room. Obviously, there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of staff and personnel, and there's always a conversation around it, which is good, because spreading that word and spreading that message and keeping that genre alive is going to be something that helps us, you know, progress and move forward to possibly, you know, take a couple steps forward in this fight. You know, but the question is going to be is, as we move forward throughout this season, if guys are still going to be able to take that stride forward and put that front foot forward to make a difference in that category.
Jason
Second
Wil-
question, I forgot. My bad.
Lane Taylor.
Lane Taylor. I don't remember what you asked, but Lane Taylor, one of my homies, great player. I've had the opportunity now this last couple of weeks to work with him a little bit. You know, he got injured last year, but he's definitely taken a lot of strides forward, and it's very impressive to see a guy like Lane Taylor, who has traditionally the past couple of years been on that left side, transition over to the right side and, you know, not really lose a step or lose a stride over there. So it's fun to work with him. It's fun to work with Rick, and it's fun to work with all of the rest of the guys in that offensive line room.
Jason Wilde.
All right, Billy, I'm going to steal Matt's approach, but I'm going to try and keep my questions short so you have both of them at the ready, all right? I'm not usually good at asking short questions, though. My football question is, when do you find out that you are going to be working at both right guard and right tackle? We all know you have the experience at all the different positions, but when did the coaches tell you? And then my non-football question is, I have found it hard watching things unfold to remain positive and hopeful a lot of times, watching the way people are reacting to the conversations that are happening. Where do you keep your optimism from?
Question one, when did I find out? Honestly, I found out last year when I signed here. You know, when they signed me, they said there's a great chance that you're going to be playing multiple positions, and that's part of the reason that we brought you in. So I understood that from day one coming in here, that there's an opportunity for me to not only play at right guard, right tackle, but any of those positions on the offensive line, depending on where they see fit and where they need me to play. So you know, this offseason, talking to Coach Stenavich, Coach LaFleur, and everyone, they definitely told me, you know, despite what happens with Brian Bulaga, if he gets re-signed or not, there's a possibility that you're going to be playing right tackle. There's a possibility that you're going to be playing right guard again. We just got to kind of see where things work out and how, you know, everything plays out into training camp. So, you know, there was no real specific time, but those are conversations that have been had multiple times with the coaching staff and me. And optimism with society, the world, everything that's going on right now. You know, you're not wrong by saying that you find it hard to remain positive, seeing everything that has continued to go on the last 6 months throughout the last 400 to 500 to 600 years. it's tough. You know what I mean? But to be completely honest with the comment that you made, optimism is something that's hard, and you finding it hard to be optimistic says one thing to me, and that means that you have feelings and emotions that are geared towards everything that are happening. So being a Black man, seeing people like me slain down in the street is something that is tough. When you see it happen on a consistent basis, from the time when you're born and brought into this world all the way up until 29 years, and something that will possibly continue, optimism is something that is tough, yeah, but you kind of put it in the back of your mind because you become numb to the feeling. And as unfortunate as that is, you got to continue to move forward. The right thing to do is to try as hard as you can to remain positive, because personally, I believe that the more positivity that we have as a human race, it's going to be easier to move forward, and it's going to give you a greater chance and ability to make change and to bring change to the world. Now, there's always going to be evil things that happen. And unfortunately, I don't believe that racism is ever going to be extinct. It's not going anywhere, but as a man, all I can do is try to help the man next to me. It's no different than playing football and being on the offensive line, working cohesively with those 5 guys on the offensive line. We as a human race have to work together to move forward and to be more positive, so that optimism that you speak of can become secondhand nature to us. And it's not that negativity that we think about. It's that the more positive side of things that we want to see, that we keep fluent in our mind. And it's tough because things like social media, the news, the newspaper, etc., the things that they pick and choose to exemplify and show, whether that is political or not, it's not up to us what is put on media. You know what I mean? So the more things that you see, and the more African-American men, women, and children and minorities that you see getting slain down, and the more negativity that the news and media shows, it's going to be more present in your mind. So that's when you got to work harder to remain positive and work harder with the people around you to keep that positivity very, very fluid in your mind.
Jim Ozarski.
Yeah, Billy, last year we talked a lot with you guys about the culture and the camaraderie and how tight you were as a group. This year we were wondering about it because of the Zoom and the distance and all the things you can't do. Can this deeper conversation and these conversations you said you're hearing help create that, I guess, in 2020, since you can't do a lot of the other kind of fun things that you did a year ago?
It's tough again, but this is adversity. This is not something that just the 2020 Green Bay Packers are dealing with. This is something that all 32 teams are dealing with. This is something that all people that walk this earth and live in this world are dealing with. So, to say that it's hard and it's difficult, yeah, but it's adversity. Everyone has to deal with it. Those who are able to be more creative with situations and opportunities like this, and those who are able to use that creativity to, promote a better understanding of the situation at hand, and are able to think into the future and, doing this right now, and us coming together as a team, whether it is a Zoom meeting or a creative way, or just getting on the phone or kicking it while we are here in the building, creating that camaraderie as quick as possible in unique ways is going to be something that helps us on the field. It's going to, benefit us 100%, but things are just different. This is not an ordinary NFL season. We're about to go into the season about a month from now, and there's probably going to be no fans in any of the stadiums. That's not something that's ever happened in the history of the National Football League. So with that being said, we're all dealing with it, and I think we're all going to take it head on and be able to hopefully come up with some unique ways and strategies, to still engage with the fans, engage with people watching the games, and also, come closer as a family and as a unit here, as a whole in the Green Bay Packers organization, to help us be as successful as possible.
Lily Zhao.
Hey, Billy, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, two-parter for you as well. I'm just kind of curious how you started work with public immunity, why that was important to you, and also kind of, we know there's a battle on the right side of the line, and kind of what has Rick brought to your offensive line room?
Yeah, so Public Immunity is my lifestyle brand that I started. Um, Public Immunity began one because I like clothing, I like art, and I have a unique kind of I don't want to call it a creative side, but it's not just clothing that I'm interested in. I like clothing and I like things, but I like to make a difference in whatever it is that I'm doing. So Public Immunity, the name came about during this pandemic. I was talking to one of my friends and we were talking just about the coronavirus and this pandemic and everything. And I came up with the word public immunity, and obviously public as a whole, and, you know, immunity, trying to bring change to everything, but also as if you're marked as safe, you know, kind of that definition of immunity, and wanting to attack social issues and societal issues around the world and in the country from a public standpoint, and almost bring a positive aspect to it. So Public Immunity is going to be a lifestyle brand that every single drop or exhibition of clothing that we have, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 a year, and there's collaborations, is going to attack and focus on a different social issue that our society is struggling with. That could be mental health, that could be racial injustice, that could be homelessness. It could literally be anything. So that's kind of what Public Immunity is about. And the first exhibition is going to drop in October or November. And then the second part of your question, working with Rick in the O-line room. Rick came in and, you know, he was welcomed with open arms, no differently than I was last year. Rick has a lot of experience in the NFL, and it's been fun to be able to talk to Rick about his experiences in the NFL, but also to pick his brain a little bit about the tackle position, just being that I have worked at every position. So my mindset approaching the tackle position is very different than, I would say, a traditional tackle and someone who approaches every season knowing that he's going to play right tackle. So, you know, he brings a tenacity to the group, and he's definitely a smart guy. You can tell that, you know, these first couple of weeks, having put in a new system for him and installing a new offense, he's picking it up very quickly.
We have time for two more. Ryan Wood.
Hey, Billy, I think we all have things in our jobs that we do because we enjoy, and things that we do because it's part of our jobs. I'm curious if it's the same way as an offensive lineman, whether it's right tackle or right guard. Is there a spot that you play because it's a preference, you enjoy being there from one or the other? And then as far as playing multiple positions, I know you've played some left tackle in this game, but what would be your comfort level at this point if there's an injury like we saw today with David of moving over to the left side? Do you think you could play some left tackle in a pinch?
You know what? I've done it before. Obviously, anyone who approaches a game situation and format would love to have multiple reps at that position. But to be honest with you, that's just not the case in the NFL. Sometimes you don't get any reps and you got to go out there and you got to perform. You know, so with that being said, if I have to go out there and play left tackle in a pinch, I'm going to go out there and play left tackle to the best of my ability in a pinch. So, you know, approaching every situation and having the mindset, having the correct mindset to do that is something that I had to teach myself. It was not something that, you know, rookie year coming into the NFL is something that I knew how to do right away. It took me a lot of failures, a lot of experiences to figure out how to do that and to get it done the right way. And honestly, it's one of those things that's ever evolving every time you go from position to position, whether it's in a game, every other game, or whether it's season to season. You learn new things and you pick up different tactics and techniques that allow you to be more successful at that. So, you know, the one thing that I can say is that it's very, very fundamentally challenging, but focusing on the fundamentals is the one thing that is going to help you be successful regardless of any of those positions.
Last one, MK with WFRV.
Hi, Billy. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. My question is, going into this season with all of the unknowns, what was your mentality, especially as you said, kind of knowing that you were going to have to play different positions?
The mentality, honestly, is the same going into year 7 now as it has been every year in the past. It's approaching the season not knowing what position I'm playing is something that I'm very used to and comfortable with. And with that being said, getting to training camp now, finally being able to go out there with pads and to actually practice, you know, it's something where it's not that I'm trying to be at any given position and to, you know, understand what's happening within the play. It's one of those things where I'm more focused on my fundamentals, you know, going through individual, because the more I'm able to tap into the fundamentals and the more I can transition that into team periods and into game-like situations, the more I'm going to be successful when Sundays, Saturdays, Fridays, whatever day of the week we're going to be playing on comes about. So, you know, the approach is being able to just have an open mind. It's no differently than approaching a new job or a new situation in any profession on this earth. You got to approach things with an open mind, because you can never be too sure about what's going to happen and what's going to be in front of you.